Jujutsu Kaisen is finally over. And now, with JJK Modulo giving us a glimpse of what the world looks like decades later, new characters, new threats, and power scaling more broken than ever, the question everybody's asking is, who's actually the strongest now? Today, my name is Shoyo, and we're ranking all 22 of the strongest sorcerers in JJK Modulo. And trust me, some of these placements are gonna surprise you. But before we get into it, go ahead and subscribe and drop a like before you keep watching, because it seriously helps the channel out. Let's get right into it. Starting from the bottom, we've got the veterans: Nanami, Todo, Kusakabe, and Mei Mei. These guys are straight up geniuses who hit the absolute ceiling of what a normal human sorcerer can be. The problem is, the top of this list stopped being human a long time ago, and against the anomalies and alien threats out there, their techniques just don't cut it anymore. They're legends, no doubt, but they're not miracle workers. And speaking of underrated people, Nobara deserves way more credit than she gets. Her resonance is one of the most tactically useful abilities in the whole series. She literally set up the final blow on Sukuna, but in a straight one-on-one against the people above her, she just can't keep up. That's just the harsh reality. And then there's Megumi. Honestly, one of the most frustrating cases in the entire series. He has access to the 10 Shadows technique, one of the most busted abilities in JJK history, so much so that Sukuna literally took over his body specifically because of Mahoraga. But Megumi never pulled out that full potential on his own. If you ask me, he's the biggest case of wasted potential in the whole franchise. The power was always there, he just never had the control. This is where Modulo starts introducing its new generation. Yuka carries the genetics of both the Okotsu and Zenin bloodlines, so her ceiling is insane. But compared to her brother Tsurugi, she hasn't quite flipped the switch to the next level yet. She's close, but something's still missing. Higuruma is a character with an ability so broken, it's almost unfair. Death Sentence can completely strip an opponent's ability to control cursed energy. In a pure one-on-one, he's an absolute menace. The problem is, against opponents who are super fast or throw out huge AoE attacks, he'd get bodied before he even gets the domain open. His power is elite level. The margin for error is just way too thin. Now things start getting really serious. Geto has over 6,000 cursed spirits and an Uzumaki that pushed Yuta to go all out. Geto didn't just fight opponents, he suffocated them with attacks most people couldn't even keep track of. If you ask me, Geto at his peak was the most terrifying military force in JJK. He was a literal one-man army, minus the gods at the top of this list. These two are the definition of weapons of mass destruction. Against armies or groups, they wipe the floor. Almost unbeatable, the issue is the lack of refinement. If they run into someone with a crack technique and real speed, they get dismantled before they can even pull out their biggest moves. Number 15, Mahito. Idle Transfiguration bypasses physical defenses and attacks the soul directly. That's brutal. The only way to fight it is to understand the shape of your own soul well enough to resist it, which almost nobody can actually do. Even in Modulo, decades later, that ability never stops being dangerous. Tsurugi is honestly one of the most hyped up guys in all of Modulo. He carries the heavenly restriction of the Zenin bloodline and Yuta's cursed energy legacy. When he fuses with Rhea, he taps into decades of energy that Yuta poured into that ring over his whole life. In that fused state, dude turns into an absolute monster, and he's just getting started. Hakari has one of the most busted abilities in the franchise, with one very specific condition attached. When he hits the jackpot, he becomes effectively immortal for 4 minutes and 11 seconds. Infinite cursed energy, real-time auto-healing. During those 4 minutes, almost nobody on this list can put him down. If you ask me, Hakari in jackpot mode is the most fun fight in JJK. Watching someone just keep pushing forward, laughing and vibing in the face of danger, it's awesome. And then we've got Kashima, one of the most purebred combat monsters in JJK history. With mythical beast Amber, he basically becomes living electricity, speed close to the speed of light, electromagnetic attacks, insane reaction time. The tragedy is, it's a one-shot technique. But while it lasts, he's the most lethal guy in the room. Even Sukuna had to take him seriously. Yuki is a character whose power is almost conceptually broken. She packs so much mass into herself and Garuda that she literally created a black hole against Kenjaku, against almost anyone else on this list that would end the fight on the spot. Kenjaku only survived because of plot armor, which just goes to show how ridiculous that technique is. Number Des, Toji Fushiguro, Imaki Zenin. These two share the spot because what makes them special is literally the exact same thing. Zero cursed energy. Heavenly restriction pushed to the absolute limit. And because they don't produce energy, they're completely invisible to any detection system. On a modulo battlefield full of aliens hunting for energy signatures, Toji and Maki are the perfect predators moving through the chaos without ever being detected. On top of that, they're just built different. This next one isn't even a sorcerer. It's something else entirely. The This thing is terrifying. Every time Mahoraga gets hit by something non-lethal that it doesn't recognize, it adapts and learns. In Modulo, up against completely alien techniques that no sorcerer has ever seen, Mahoraga was almost unstoppable. The only way out is a one-shot kill before it adapts, which is exactly what Dabura did, and even that barely worked. Now we're firmly in the territory of the absolute elite. Yuta has more raw, cursed energy than almost anyone in JJK history. A copy technique that lets him replicate any cursed technique he's come across. He fought Sukuna in Gojo's body using Kenjaku's technique, soloed the Sendai colony, and took out Kenjaku. The guy's resume is insane. In Modulo, the energy he stored in Ria's ring over decades keeps his legacy alive through Tsurugi. Kenjaku is the most dangerous mind in JJK history, full stop. Over 1,000 years of body hopping, stacking techniques, and playing chess against the entire world. His knowledge of Jujutsu is on par with, or even beyond, Sukuna himself. In a fight, he's already 10 steps ahead of everything. The scariest enemy is the one who's already planned out how you're gonna lose. Number 6, Cross. This is where the Sumerian threats completely redefine what power even means in Jujutsu. Cross is Maru's twin. What makes him scary isn't just raw, destructive power, it's the scale. We're talking interplanetary warfare, a level of global destruction that the sorcerers of Earth never had to deal with before. Number 5, Maru. Maru is the Simurian, whose precision completely breaks the logic of everything JJK ever set up. While most of the top tier relies on brute force, Maru has this insane precision. His attacks hit the exact blind spot, using methods that human jujutsu straight up has no answer for. Even Tsurugi, buffed up with Yuta's energy, barely held his own against him. Number 4, Dabura. Honestly, Dabura might be the most exciting character in all of Modulo. People are already calling him the new Sukuna. He's got a hybrid domain expansion, offensive, positive energy, and he figured out how to use reverse technique just by watching Mahoraga's sword. And he's still growing. But if you ask me, I genuinely believe that one day he could hit such a ridiculous level of power that he'd clean out the top 3, and the King of Curses takes 3rd place. Sukuna, at his Heian era peak, has 4 arms, 4 eyes, shrine, unlimited cursed energy, and a combat IQ sharpened over 1,000 years. He bodied Gojo, held his own against basically every relevant sorcerer alive at the same time, and it took a combined effort from literally everyone to finally bring him down. The guy is on another level. Number 2, Satoru Gojo, and the man who was once the strongest sorcerer alive. Infinity is still the most broken defense in Jujutsu history. Unlimited Void, purple, at 200%. A barrier that 99.9% of the universe simply cannot get through. Gojo was the power ceiling of JJK for almost the entire run, and even in Modulo, he's still the benchmark for what it means to be a god in this universe. And here we are. Number 1. And at this point in the story, nobody even comes close. Yuji Itadori at 85 years old is the strongest being in JJK history. Full mastery of blood manipulation and shrine. He throws Black Flash whenever he feels like it, has his own domain expansion, and the dude basically doesn't age. In Modulo, he straight up demolished Simurian troops that other sorcerers couldn't even tank. And then he humiliated Mahito on his return, casually asking him if he'd always been this weak. Yuji started as a kid who swallowed a finger to save his friends, and ended up as something that completely transcended the gods of the past. And that's our number 1. So there you have it all. 22 of the strongest sorcerers in JJK Modulo, ranked and broken down. But now I want to hear from you guys. Is this list fair, or did I commit a crime here? What would you change? Would you kick anyone out of the top 10? And the real debate that never gets old. If we threw Modulo Yuji at his peak against Satoru Gojo and Sukuna at the same time, who walks away and who gets dropped? Drop your ranking and your theory in the comments. Let's talk about it. By the way, we just hit 4,000 subscribers on the channel, and we're already pushing toward 5,000. That genuinely means the world to me. You guys are seriously changing my life. So I make it a point to stay active in the comments and talk with this community. So I'll be reading and replying down below. And don't forget to check out the other videos on the channel. Thanks guys. Peace.